Yeah. Can we talk about religion?
Anytime you, let's move from the sublime to the ridiculous. Okay.
You're known as the anti-religion guy. I mean, you made a movie about it with Dawkins.
Well,
You've had debates, heated debates over the years with Islamists and Christians.
Yeah.
And has your views on any of that changed in the last 2 years?
Well, I don't know if it's changed. I used to describe myself as not an atheist, but in deference to my late friend Christopher Hitchens, as an anti-theist, because that's how he described himself.
You knew him too. You know everybody lots.
Yeah. I knew. It's a sad loss for the world, but I knew Christopher. He was a wonderful man. So he said he was an anti-theist, I think, and I like that term because religion poisons everything, as he used to say. But I kind of evolved to be an apatheist, and in the sense that people have the illusion that this question of is there a God or could God have created the universe is some pressing issue that physicists think about. But they don't. God, I've been a physicist for 50 years almost, and I've never heard it mentioned in a physics meeting. God is irrelevant because we know how the world, you don't need to think about God to try and figure out how the world works, because as far as we can see, there's the natural effects have natural causes, and at least as far as we understand, we've never needed to invoke any tooth fairies, any magic, any supernatural stuff. And now some people say, well, how do you know? We don't know, but we'll never know unless we keep trying. We haven't hit a roadblock yet that we haven't been able to get past. And so one of the things I like to remind people of is that this issue of God, when it comes to understanding how the world works, is irrelevant. Now, what is true is that religion, unfortunately, does poison everything. I'm not saying that, look, there are people who do good things because they're religious, or at least that resonates with their character, and they take some parts of Scripture and use that and try and live a good life. They certainly don't take all parts of Scripture. That's everyone in England, where we are now. The Richard Dawkins Foundation, maybe 15 years ago, I forget now, so they took the census in England, and it was a big development that at that time only 50% of adults declared themselves members of the Church of England. Maybe it was 55, but it was a number that surprised people for being so low. And what Dawkins et al. Did was take that set who declared themselves to be members of the Church of England, Christians, and said, why are you a Christian? Do you believe in the virgin birth? Do you believe in transubstantiation? Do you believe in this? Do you believe in that? Blah, blah. And the answer was no, 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 no. And the final question is, why do you think you're a Christian? And the answer was, I like to think of myself as a good person, because religion has appropriated morality. And the point is that, so when you talk about religion, there is no such thing as religion per se. Take Christianity. Everyone's Christianity is different. And almost everyone who adopts some of the world's organized religions has appropriated some things. What they do is they take the things they like and they don't take things they don't like. I mean, one of the most immoral books you could ever want to read is the Old Testament and the Bible. I mean, stoning your children because they disobey you. I mean, it's just, yet people just say, well, that I'm not listening to that part. I like this part. And except for the fundamentalists, who in some sense you could, I suppose, have some respect for, because they say either the whole thing's true or none of it. I take the none of it. But so people utilize religion as a shield for the good things they do. But what the negative aspects of religion, besides the us versus them thing, besides the fact that in the extreme cases, of course, it produces violence and hatred, obvious, not just in extremist fundamentalist Islam, but the same thing in Christianity and in Judaism too. And there's a long history in all of those religions. But it's also the fact that it stops thinking. If you believe you know the truth without even asking questions, then you don't think. And for me, that's the biggest threat to being human, is questioning. And one of the greatest developments that came from the unbelievers for me that I didn't expect, I mean, I knew about extremists and all that, were the people who wrote to us after that movie came out, or one of my books, or Richard's books, and I get these people saying, I'm just so glad to see I'm not alone, first of all. I live in a small town in the south of the United States, and I know that I've just questioned whether God exists. Not even, I just have that question. And I'm afraid to talk about it. And I know that if my parents or my neighbors or my teachers, I will be shunned. And I feel alone, and I feel like a bad person for asking those questions. And to realize that I'm not a bad person for asking those questions has liberated it for me. And for me, that's the greatest impact that that movie had, and some of my books have had. Just that subtle fact that people feel they're not allowed to ask questions is terrible. And the social pressures that organized religion imposes, shunning people, excluding them for potentially deviating from the flock. And what worries me more now is that's gone beyond religion. We're seeing that in the internet. People have a religious fervor about everything, and so they will shun people, and you can't even ask the question. If you ask a question which is at all provocative but goes against the grain, now you get removed. It's really amazing.
See, it's your fault because I couldn't follow religion, so now I'm a flat earther.
Yeah, exactly.
It's Lawrence Krauss's fault.
Yeah.
But that is happening, right? You're getting these pockets of believers. They want to belong to something. They have a thing.
Whether it's flat earthers or there's a whole slew of things. And it's the effective ability of the internet to cause for people to make claims that influence others and cause them to either shun or do other things to other people. That is of great concern. It's a kind of religiosity. And the religiosity doesn't just exist, and let me make it clear. It sounds like holier than thou argument. It's not just religious people who have a religiosity. There are atheists who have a religiosity. There are people.
Some say scientists too.
Of course, well, scientists are people, which is a secret that we have to remind people of. It's not well known that scientists are people. And the great thing about science is it overcomes the natural inclination of scientists to have biases. The process overcomes the people doing it.
Right.
That's the great thing about science. So scientists have no monopoly on rationality in that sense. And what science tries to teach us is always to question ourselves, because we're the easiest people to fool. But
is that a quote from Richard Feynman?
What was that?
Is that a quote
yeah,
from
that's
Richard
a quote
Feynman?
Richard Feynman. Exactly, Richard Feynman. But there's a religiosity. Don't accept evolution just because I say it happened. I mean, the point is, what you really need to do is question things and think. And you can't be an expert in everything, but you can try and assess who's reliable and who isn't. And so the religiosity of saying, for me, God is in the one end is an excuse to say I don't want to think about it. I just stop thinking. And in fact, as Ricky Gervais, who was on our program, has said many times, in fact, in The Unbelievers said it, God works in mysterious ways. What's that mean? It means I can't think, I don't want to think, right? God works in mysterious ways. What it means is I can't understand it. I'm not going to think about it. I'll just say God did it. And for me, at least, that's an anathema, that we have evolved a consciousness and ability to question and think, and is one of the things that makes being human worth being human. The joys and tragedies of being human are involved in the fact that we can assess our place, assess ourselves, find out that maybe we're not all that we thought we should be or can be, and try and improve. Or it's the whole human condition, and to give that up is to give up being human, and that's to some extent what religion is.